What's up, everybody? We're back on Word of Mouth with none other than the one, the only, actually the two, the only, Brandon Loper and Trent Stewart from Golden Age Wine.
Hey, guys.
Guys, all cards on the table. We literally, when we sat down to do this podcast, we made a list of people that we wanted to have on. Y'all were high on the list from day one, which is pretty cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have y'all on. Tell everybody who you are.
First off, you do this intro live?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
That's pretty advanced. That's pretty good. No editing. This is like no tricks
We're already out of our league here. So.
Yeah, as you can tell by my cinder block coffee table in front of you, it's very professional around here.
Very high tech.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. No, we're glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're really excited. I think one of the main reasons we wanted to have y'all on is because we kind of had this like niche dream of being able to like, I don't know, I feel like that have not necessarily access, that's not the right word, but giving other people access to the story behind it all, because a lot of people are really afraid. Like when we originally started, we were really about this whole like people don't know how to talk anymore. Like that was like one of the main reasons that we started the podcast, and we wanted to kind of give people space to enjoy conversations without having the pressure of like being in them, if that makes any sense. And me and Myers talked to freaking brick walls. As y'all know, we have spoken with y'all in your wine shops before. But we wanted to give people access to like really awesome people, especially in Birmingham. And then that's kind of become what the entire podcast is specifically about, is like celebrating a lot of really cool stuff going on in Birmingham. So we're like really excited to talk about y'all. There's like two kind of different stories here. One stayed in Birmingham forever and sees the beauty of Birmingham. And then, Brandon, you have kind of gone off and then come back and then really it seemingly enjoyed the beauty of Birmingham too. So we're really excited to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be super fun.
Yeah.
Myers, what are you excited about for today, man?
Golden Age is a special place to me.
You shot your engagement photos there, right?
I shot my engagement photos there. I went on my first like kind of real date with my now wife there.
Wow.
So I warn people that Golden Age is for falling in love. So I say be careful if you go on a date there.
Did you get married there?
I did not get married there.
Because we've actually had a couple get married there.
Are you serious?
Really?
I swear.
Wow, small wedding.
Man.
That's kind of beautiful.
During service.
During
it wasn't
service.
like they like rented it out to have their wedding. They like had their wedding at the picnic table.
They didn't even let us know. Like,
Holy cow.
A few of our people looked over towards the cellar where the wooden table is.
Yeah.
And there was a guy standing up over the table in a Pope hat. And they were having the ceremony right in the middle of a busy like Friday night service. It was wild.
Holy cow.
I'm not gonna lie, that is actually awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't go that far, so I guess I'm not as diehard as I thought I was.
Sorry, we didn't mean to one-up you, Myers.
I mean, those people
your
genuinely
story is not insignificant.
Thanks.
I mean, those people genuinely saved, $35,000.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not doing a wedding.
That should have gone to them, but
And instead just had a pretty fun night. So
Hopefully the crew got a good tip that night.
yeah.
that's awesome. How often do people do events there? Because it is such a beautiful space.
Every week, really. I mean, we
Really?
have at the Mound Brook location, we have a back room that seats about 20, about 30 people in it standing, and we actually rent that space out at least once or twice a week for small private events.
That's awesome.
Dinners. We do wine tastings back there.
Yeah.
So that's been cool. Kind of a nice little added part of what we can do over there.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
So if someone is listening to this and they don't know what Golden Age is, just kind of start us off there. Like, what is it that y'all do here?
I would say Golden Age is a wine shop and wine bar. We focus on what we call low intervention wines. Which is kind of new to the market when we opened it. That could be classified. Some people would define that as natural wine. Some people would define that as pre-industrial wines. Like most people wouldn't say, I'm looking for some pre-industrial wine.
Sure.
But, these are wines made before chemical interventions and a lot of interventions. And so that's kind of we just say low intervention because it sort of is a blanket term. The natural wine term is not defined per se.
Sure.
But really, it's a place that we were having this conversation earlier, but we designed it to feel like our living room and we're hosting somebody coming in. So we want you to feel comfortable, take away all the preconceived ideas about wine,
Yeah.
All the snobbery, and sort of welcome you in. Hopefully you have a drink, connect with somebody, have some good food, and find something new that you love and you can take to your next dinner party, your next date, or get married, Hopefully it all leads to engagement photos.
Right.
Hopefully it all.
From Greta.
And popes.
Yeah. That's actually awesome. Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. I think you did an incredible job at that. I mean, I remember the first time that I ever went. I went for coffee with someone, and I was like, Trent, you and I actually. I mean, you probably don't remember this. This was like ages ago. It was like literally right after y'all opened, and I remember you just geeking out over the brick, specifically the brick that's used in the bar, because there's like one brick maker in like Alabama that makes this like European, or there's like two in America or something like that.
Yeah, we tried to everything at Golden Age. We wanted to use all local artisans for all the concrete bar, the brick bar front, the wooden shelves were actually made by Alabama Sawyer, who used to be right across the street from you guys. Yeah,
cool.
So. But we also wanted to tie in with the materials that are involved in winemaking as well.
Oh, cool.
And so, the red brick is made from Alabama clay. Well, a lot of the great wines of the world are made in clay that's on limestone. And so that,
no way.
We could tie that to wine. And, some of our favorite wines that are red wines in particular are aged in concrete tank, which is very common in the old world, south of France, places in Italy, and so the bar top, we did of concrete.
Yeah.
So that was, that's kind of gives you some examples of the thought process behind the design and materials used.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the ceiling is reclaimed red and white oak, which is another kind of vessel like oak barrels.
Yeah.
They're aging in, and
it's like is it from a church? Like I can't remember.
No, it's from the Alabama Cast Iron Pipe Co. They call it like I think it's called like dunnage is maybe the term, but it's like what they ship cast iron pipes in around the world.
Cool.
And they take those crates back and they recycle them. There is a company, I think they're still around, called Evolutia in North Birmingham, and what they would do is take those crates, break them down, get all the nails out, and they'll kind of plane them to how you'd like. Like a lot of people use them for like a reclaimed wood.
Yeah.
That wasn't really our vibe.
They're really clean.
Yeah, so we had them kind of plane them and stain them, and kind of go with a more like Scandinavian version of that. My wife was our architect, Amanda Loper, and she that was kind of her vision. We kind of gave her the story we wanted, and she kind of sourced all these amazing artisans and people local that she knew. So
I mean, that's genuinely I'm like I do woodworking on the side, and I like 100% I'm going to be calling that company. That's insane. I did not know
you
that
should
existed.
check it out. They have really cool stuff.
Yeah, that's also probably cheap. I mean, I don't know, maybe like. But since
not
it's like
as cheap
recycled,
as you want it to be, because it was. I mean, it was a drop ceiling in there, and so when we got in, it was a business called the Lucky Duck, and it was owned by the guy who owns Full Moon Barbecue. It was his wife's business, and they had kind of their lease had kind of run, and they decided to move on, and so the landlord, that when we got the space, he's like, yeah, there's all this great stuff in here, and there's a duck on the wall, and there's duck. Our daughters really wanted us to keep the duck on the wall.
The kids are all about the ducks.
And there were like duck prints on the floor. And they were like, you got to keep that. And we're like, maybe not. But so we raised the drop ceiling, which was not cheap because we exposed a wall that we had to make a firewall. Anyways, this is getting boring.
My gosh.
No.
But it wasn't the cheapest option.
Yeah,
painting it probably would have been the cheapest option. But
there was like a brief little second during COVID where I was like working for my dad's insurance agency in Gardendale, and the original First Baptist Church in Gardendale it's still for sale. Like you can buy, like if anyone is a business venture and wants a really cool building, it's like this 1840s like little steeple or like church, and we kind of schemed to open up a cafe in the front, and his insurance office was going to be in the back because he's a church insurance salesman. That's like what he does. And we've, anyways, but
it would have been so sick.
It would have been so cool. But the main reason that it like kind of fell through is because of the firewall thing. Like I'm telling you, Jefferson County, they love freaking firewalls.
Yeah, they're big on firewalls.
And they like are really weird about mixed use spaces too. Like I don't know how Pizitz did it. Like they must have firewalls freaking everywhere in there, dude. Fire ceilings.
Probably so. I had a conversation about firewalls yesterday with our landlord. So
something in the air, man.
They're still coming up. So
so funny.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that the way it's all tied together with like Alabama is pretty cool. But I think before we jump into that, I would love to talk about Alabama, not necessarily in a current way, but like back in the day. Y'all are both from Alabama in different ways. Where are y'all from? What was like childhood like? And then how did your kind of like taste and all this stuff develop?
So so I grew up in Trussville, as my wife Cherie did as well, and we started dating in college.
Bush. That's what people said whenever I was in high school. Like, go Trussville. It was like mush. Dude, was that a thing when you were in high school?
Is
or
that
no?
the slogan or like the fight?
Yeah, that was like their Roll Tide.
Really, that must have been after me.
Oh, okay.
I'm an old guy. I'm from the '90s. So no, back then we called it was Truss Vegas. Maybe that they still call it that. But yeah, we grew up in Trussville, started dating in college, and honestly, with Cherie and I, we thought we would probably eventually move chasing careers. Especially my wife, she's in the medical world, and we thought we would end up kind of following her career. And it's interesting how we kept having, or we kept thinking we were going to probably leave every few years, and then she ended up having great opportunities to stay. Cool. Ended up at the university here, UAB, and so we just ended up staying really from a professional perspective, and we were very open to leaving. And it's kind of funny how now in 2025, looking back, the city's evolved so much in the past 15 or 20 years. I'm so glad that we actually had the opportunity to stay. Yeah. This town has so much to offer and is definitely become more progressive in the past decade plus. And so we feel fortunate to be here now. Yeah. I feel like this size market really gave Brandon and I the opportunity to do something like Golden Age here. And we feel like when we came in 2019, we felt like it was just it was just progressive enough that there were enough open-minded people that had been traveling to New York, San Francisco, Paris, wherever, that experienced wine bars and natural wine, and were open to us. And so I just feel fortunate that we ended up having to stick around. I say having, it's we maybe when we had to stay early on in the aughts, Birmingham wasn't the most exciting place. But granted, we were from here, we had family here, so it was a comfortable place for us to be. But
I'm trying to pinpoint like a time frame for this. Like, I'm not trying to dox your age or anything, but when did you graduate from college, and like what did you study? Like, what was your initial Birmingham experience?
Okay, so I went to UAB.
Okay, go Blazers.
Go Blazers. I was actually on the golf team there. And
go golf.
Yeah,
go Blazer golf.
Lots of golf talk today. But finished in 2000.
Okay.
And honestly
that was like well before anything cool was down there, from what I've heard.
Well before. There was not much
City
going
Stages,
on.
though. You actually got to go to City Stages.
Actually went to City Stages. That's actually where I bumped into my our future wife.
Wow.
Back in around 97. We knew each other in like junior high school, but hadn't really seen or talked to each other in a couple of years. And
was that the Snoop Dogg year?
I'm not sure. I don't think that was the Snoop Dogg
You
year.
probably didn't remember it very much, did you?
No.
But you ran into her there?
Yeah. So we actually ran into each other.
That's
Hadn't
crazy.
really seen or talked much in a couple of years. We were well into college at that point, and literally nearly knocked each other down.
That's crazy.
Literally ran into each other, and then like just started talking. Oh, hey, how's it going? Started talking, and here we are. What's like 28 years later or something like that? If my math is right.
Long time.
Have a kid and some businesses here, and so
that's crazy,
been a good ride.
Man, love at first sight. You forgot the Snoop Dogg concert.
Yeah, I did.
What was like the headliner that year? Do you remember?
I don't even remember.
I think like in the late, I was looking at the headliners like last month because I was realizing like how big of a deal it was in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like genuinely, like it was like Dave Matthews Band, freaking Flo Rida. Like it was like the most famous people during that time frame.
Totally, and being of my age, and remembering in its like beginnings in like the early 90s, like it was really the first of its kind in the Southeast. Like, you didn't have these festivals going on in New Orleans, Memphis, Atlanta. Like it was really one of the first in the Southeast that other cities really kind of took that idea and ran with it. We were just having a conversation yesterday at Golden Age. We wish it was still around. Yeah. But I know they had a lot of issues towards the end. It, multiple years it, nearly got completely stormed, rained out.
Yeah.
So, but it was a fun time.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I was actually I was talking to somebody who works in the music industry the other day, and they were saying that music venues, one of the main reasons that they're going out of business right now is because the only things that are making money right now are festivals, which I think is like super interesting because festivals are in this weird place where they aren't dependent on ticket sales. Like they're only dependent on sponsorships, and like these huge companies put these like tons of money into it, and they can have a say in like which artist goes and marketing schemes, whatever. And then the artist isn't like, dependent on ticket sales at all. So that's why like no shows are really coming through Birmingham like right now. But then when you look at the fall, it's like tons more because like everybody's just playing festivals right now all over Europe and South America and America and stuff, which is like super interesting. Yeah. But because of that too, like medium-sized cities like Birmingham don't really have anything going on because we can't, because of weather. Like City Stages went out and Sloss Fest went out. But yeah, the Rage Against the Machine, the metal scene is staying true alive to Furnace Fest. Yeah, but they can do whatever they want, seemingly. Yeah. But do y'all notice this? I'm kind of going on a little side trail right now, but y'all are pretty keenly aware of what's going on in Birmingham. Do y'all notice how big this scene is in downtown? Like how many metal people there are, seemingly? Like always, or just they're just around, like always, like. There's just like people that are like super into metal, like or hardcore it seems like in every room. I don't know that I've noticed it. I definitely feel a difference like when you roll into June coffee during Furnace Fest. October. It's like, it's like all black. We can kind of dress that way sometimes too, but even over Mount Brook at our location there, like when the fest happens, it's like we're invaded by an army of people wearing black. It's really, even over there, it's really interesting. It's and like super long hair, so many tattoos. And apparently, like there's a lot of people in that scene that seem to be into natural wine too. I think we have a lot of really nice people. They're usually like incredibly cool and incredibly kind. Yeah. But I feel like that scene's like huge in Birmingham right now. But that's really cool though that you met her at UAB. And then so what did you study whenever you were there? I was in the business school, marketing. Business. Okay, exciting cool. Stuff. Yeah. So did you just like work at like Regions or something when you like what did? No, I was really we were having a conversation about music earlier. I was really into playing and writing music. I had been writing music for years with a friend I grew up with, and kind of wanted to maybe do that professionally and or at least focus on it and try to make maybe a couple records or something like that. So really after college, I was just like wanted to find a job to pay the bills and that would allow me to play music on the side. And so I ended up, got a kind of a random job kind of through a friend of the family in the telecommunications industry. Wow. And a lot of people don't realize now, but back 30, 40 years ago, this was like Birmingham was a big telecommunications town. Like AT&T had a big operation here. Bell South had a big operation here. And so I went to work for a small group of people. They started this opened up this little startup in 2001 around there. And they had all come from AT&T/Bell South. And I just took a job with them really just to pay the bills. I was like, I just need to find something to, pay my rent and put food on the table. And, interviewed with them. I liked the guy that I was going to be reporting for. I did not understand the industry or the job at all, but I was like, I like this guy. I'll go work for him. Yeah. And ended up working for those guys for like over a dozen years. Wow. But kind of hit a point,
I fell into, me and my wife, after we got married, we really got into cooking and travel. That was like our things we did together. And those both really led us to wine.
Gotcha.
We were cooking a lot at home. We, and with some of the cookbooks, like Frank Stitt's cookbooks in particular, always recommended wine pairings. And so I'd go to the grocery store and buy the ingredients and pick up a bottle of wine that Frank recommended. And we started cooking a lot together, and that kind of got us a little interested in wine. And then with travel, we started, we went to Europe for the first time in 2007, went again in 2008. And in 2008 was really when I kind of had this lightning bulb moment with wine, if you will. And we had a friend that we were traveling through Burgundy in France, which is definitely one of the epicenters of wine, in the world. And we had a friend that arranged us a visit to to see a winemaker, and I just kind of had this light bulb moment with wine there. I tasted a few wines on the table, and they were all made from Pinot Noir and made by the same grape, from the same grape. Only difference in the wines were the little plot of land in the village where they were grown, and the wines were dramatically different. And so the young lady explained to me, this is this concept of terroir. And I was like, terroir, what's that? And she's like, oh, it loosely translates to sense of place. We feel like wine and other things like cheese and meats and things in France, like the best products really smell and taste of where they come from. And I was just kind of blown away by this concept. And so I immediately went home. I start ordering every wine book online I could find. I start going to wine dinners and tastings. And within a few years, my wife Sheree was just like, I was kind of at a crossroads in my career. I never planned on being in telecommunications for, for 30 years and retiring. And so my wife was like, why don't you look at getting in the wine business? You really seem to be into it. It's all you talk about now. And, we're drinking wine every night at dinner. And so I started networking a little bit, and eventually left the telecom job. Took me a few years. I left the telecom job and took a job in retail wine in Birmingham in 2014. So that's kind of how I found it.
So it took you still kind of a while. Then,
it did. Yeah, it did. I really started. I really started looking and probably around, or at least having conversations, probably at least 2 or 3 years before I got in. And we had a daughter in the middle there somewhere too in 2011. So that kind of put everything else on hold for a while. But yeah,
that's awesome, man. Well, congratulations, you had a daughter, and then also, dude, that's actually. I will always be thinking about that thing that you just said. That's crazy. I feel like
sense of place.
You kind of just coasted right over that, but that's one of the coolest ideas that's so metaphorical to so many things in life. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So you were sitting in a wine tasting in France. So say there's someone maybe in the room right now who's never been to a wine tasting in France. What is?
Let's pretend.
Let's just pretend.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. Maybe there's someone in the room that's
maybe
never even been to France. I don't know. But Mars, have you ever been to France?
I have.
Oh, okay.
But I've never been to a wine tasting in
Brandon,
France.
you been to France?
I have.
Okay, so we've all been to France. So anyways, so you're sitting there and you go to is it in someone's home? Is it in a...
It can be. So, if you go to a wine tasting, say in California, if you go to say Napa Valley, which, a lot of people, there's a lot of wine tours in Napa Valley, you go and they have, typically, you make an appointment and it costs a fair amount of money. And it's almost like when you roll into these wineries, it's like you're entering a country club or something.
Okay.
And it's fancy. And whereas in France, it's very likely there is no tasting room. There is... You're very likely going to meet the winemaker, the assistant winemaker,
cool.
the daughter of the winemaker, which was the case with that story I just told you. And there's a good chance you're probably standing around in a cave for an hour or two tasting wine, really a cellar that's maybe been there for 500-600 years.
Wow.
So it's definitely a different experience, but it feels like a more, on average, I feel like going to wineries in the old world over there, feels like a little bit more of a honest, it's not a constructed experience, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of like sitting in this room right now, you know, just real casual.
Yeah.
just
Cave-like.
just cave.
Very cave-like.
But also, yeah, that's the one word I really wanted to go back to. You said a cave. That'd be freaking crazy if you came over to my house and I was like, yeah, I got a cave in the backyard. That's had to be, you're on a farm or something?
Yeah.
And they had like and they just like, you just kind of walk down steps and there was like a cave on property.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, so many places in the whole world, France, Italy in particular, you know, most of the homes that, you know, would have a cellar underneath the home.
Okay.
You know, and that's where, you know, they would store. It's nice and cool. Typically,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the temperature is normally going to be in the high 50s once you get a few meters down. And so, you know, traditionally a lot of homes were built on top of cellars like that. And, you know, and a lot of the wineries would, you know, be built in a, you know, the cellars would be underground, you know, and a lot of that was to maintain, you know, a good temperature.
Yeah.
So
That's so interesting.
and then really over there, it's not like a cinder block looking basement. It's like often you're actually in a cave.
Yeah, like biblical type stuff.
Yeah, like if you go to say like Champagne or in the Loire, like a lot of the wineries, you go underneath the buildings and it's truly like you're in this chalky limestone cave.
Wow.
Like it looks like you're in another world. You know, it's not brick or cinder block.
Yeah,
or
they're not fancy. They're just sort of earth that's been removed. And like we went in one, I guess it was last year in France, and you sort of, there's a hatch in the kitchen and you just go down the stairs and it's like just some earth that was excavated, but
wow,
it like connected to the other side of the house. And so a lot of people would, you know, just make their own wine for themselves, and they'd have kind of humble caves underneath, and then it kind of built from there. But
definitely not OSHA compliant.
no.
That's crazy. Okay, so my mother-in-law, big wine fan, and her favorite wine is Pinot Grigio, and this is something that I'm curious about. So I worked for a really uppity like coffee place in North Carolina, so I know how coffee works. So is like Pinot Grigio like saying something's like a Gucci? Like is it like a district, or is it like is it saying like is it like a variety of? Okay, so it's a type of grape.
It's the actual grape variety.
Okay.
So just like Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Grigio is another type of grape.
So that's what you. So there's a specific like plant that produces a certain type of grape that called a Pinot Noir, and then that specific plant grew in 3 different districts, and those are the 3 cups that you were having. That's what. I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah. Basically, it was even more specific than that. It was really like 5 Pinot Noirs, and they were all grown in the same little village.
Okay.
The only difference was the little plot of land within the village.
Wow.
So, you know, it was like, this one was grown over there on the other side of the creek, and then, you know, this one was grown up on the hillside above the winery, and they were dramatically different.
That's crazy.
And
that is wild.
It blew me away. I was immediately so fascinated. I was like, I've got to learn more about this. And the wines are delicious too. That helped. It wasn't like, you know, I was just drinking something that I was like, that's okay, you know. They were really good, and some of the best wines I'd ever had, but also very unique, and it was all based on that little postage stamp plot in the village where they were grown.
Okay, I have 2 wine questions right now since we're here. One, is it like coffee that it has to be grown in a certain atmosphere, like atmospheric like space? Like, does it have to be at a certain elevation and like weather and stuff like that?
Definitely helps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you couldn't just like grow wine in Birmingham, or could you?
I mean, you could, but it's really quality viticulture for fine winemaking is really tough in the Southeast.
Okay.
The humidity's rough here. You don't have a good diurnal temperature range between day and night, which really you want for fine viticulture, fine winemaking.
Like you need it to be like more like dressed. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like if you ever go to say like California, Napa, Sonoma, somewhere like that, like you can be out there in June and it's 95 degrees in the day, and then at night you're like wearing a coat.
Yeah,
like it's in the 50s, and that really you need that diurnal temperature range. It helps give the grapes really good ripeness, which you want for quality, but it also helps the grapes retain a lot of acidity.
Yeah,
which you need for quality as well. So
that's right. Yeah, I've been to Napa once. I did. I'm going to talk about an ex-girlfriend on the podcast. I dated a girl in college that her family had a home in Calistoga, you've ever been there. Like
Yes,
the northernmost
been there.
part.
Stayed there.
It was a pretty awesome place. I'm not gonna lie, but I've been to Napa before, and you're right. Like it was wild. We like hiked one day. We hiked to the top of the mountain that's in the northern part of Napa. I forgot what it's called, and it was like 25 degrees. And then, but it wasn't that like crazy of a hike. Like it we hiked back to the car, went down to there's this place called the Solage there. Have you ever been there?
I've been there.
Oh
I've
my gosh.
brunched there by the pool many a times.
So, since I'm not doxing, well, I'm not gonna. Never mind. But anyways, we got to go there a lot whenever we went there. You're the first person I've ever met besides the people that I went to that place with that's been there. But it's like hard to explain. It's incredible. It's an incredible place. It's like a country club with no golf course, but everything's kind of like a spa. It's like really weird, but it's a very relaxing place to be at. So we 28 degrees that day at like lunch. We went and we swam because it was like 80. And then that night we went to the hot tub there because it was like 45. It's like a crazy place. Man. I know. That was a great spring break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Me and that girl and
what was her name?
Her name was Morgan. Everyone who knows me knows who I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
And there's no chance on earth she ever listens to this, so I think I'm good. But and then Kellen Matafa, like Zephyr Kellen, his wife Abby was best friends with her, so she was on that trip.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then,
okay.
My buddy Sam. So it was a good time. So, anyways, that was pretty wild. Okay, other wine question. So you drink that wine there in France. If you had that, if somehow you could have that wine in France, and then also that wine as it is flown all the way to America, and you're drinking it Golden Age wine in Birmingham, do they taste different or do they taste the same?
Different.
Really?
Different.
Okay, so travel does affect it too then?
Yeah, and most wine doesn't even come on a plane. It comes on a boat.
Oh, okay.
So it's transported across France to a port. It's consolidated on a container, put on a container ship. And it spends several weeks on the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Goes through customs, comes in the port, goes through customs, etc., and then it gets put on a truck and comes to Birmingham.
Interesting.
And so the wine is there's this term in the wine industry. It's called bottle shock, and like what we see it a lot, especially with more low intervention and natural wines, because you're talking about wines that don't have in the conventional wine world, the use of sulfur sulfites really can help stabilize and protect wine from oxygen and other elements. And for natural wines that see little to no sulfites, they're even more delicate when it comes to travel. And so the wines that I've had many experiences where I've been in France, Italy, etc., and tasted wine, basically committed to buy it for Golden Age on the trip, and then a couple months later it lands in Birmingham, and the wines are dramatically different.
Yeah.
Normally after time you just have, honestly, it's best if you can just let them sit and not touch them for a few months after they get here.
Oh, really?
And the vast majority of the time they end up developing into what you remembered, or
like settling back down or something.
Yeah.
Because it is, like you were saying, like the cellar is such a controlled space for them to like sit in, and then like a cargo ship in the middle of the Atlantic is not a temperature controlled environment.
Well, I mean, they actually typically are for wine.
Oh, okay.
They normally are temperature controlled, but even that being said, it's still more variable than a winemaker cellar, and and then the jostling on the boat for a couple months, and getting on and off of multiple trucks, and there's a lot of variation. Even as careful as we try to be in the industry transporting wine, there's still going to be variation.
Yeah.
But I also think another reason why wine tastes different in, say, a cellar in France than it does back home is often when you're over there, you're on vacation.
Yeah.
And
That's a big one.
And it's amazing how much better things taste and smell when you're on vacation.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
That is so true. Yeah, when you actually have a
there's
day
a
to
sense
like
of
chill
place.
out.
There's also a taste of spirit, a spirit of
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Your mindset has a lot.
Guilt-free money spent too.
Because it's funny being in Golden Age, you know, and you know, I've been doing this a long time. I worked for another large retailer for years, and you know, you have people come in fairly regularly, and they'll show us a picture on their phone. They'll be like, "Hey, can you get this wine? I had this wine in Tuscany, you know, last
12 years ago.
or yeah, sometimes it's even that long ago, and it's the best wine I ever had." And like, and you know, I think people forget like that. I think drinking wine, eating food, like a big part of it is context, where you have it and the experience you have it. Because food and wine to me is typically part of a bigger experience, and that's one thing Brandon and I love about it. You know, it's you know, we, you know, at Golden Age, we really talk about how, like, you know, this wine is part of a greater meal with hopefully delicious food, but it also includes the humans you're with, the family and the setting and friends, etc. And so, so, and I think that, you know, going back to people being on vacation, you're on vacation, you're probably with your closest loved ones, you're having an amazing time. There's no stress. You're not worried about, you know, that report that's due at 7:30 in the morning at work or whatever. You know, you're just, all you're worried about is like, where am I, you know,
What's next?
What's next? You know, what are we touring next? You know, so
that's pretty cool.
One of the things that's really fascinated us about wines is that, say you are somewhere and you have this amazing experience with this wine, and maybe you get home, as Trent mentioned, we've tasted things over there and they're not the same there. It really makes you appreciate those times when it's like capturing lightning in a bottle. Yeah. You'd be like, man, do you remember that bottle that we had at Bistro Claquette? Like, that was amazing. Yeah. And like, you may strive for that for the rest of your life, but we've kind of learned to appreciate, like, oh, you got to take advantage and appreciate those moments and just enjoy those and relish those. And that's the beautiful thing about these wines. They are like a living, breathing product. Yeah. And I think that's what's so fascinating about them to us, and to me in particular, is like, you may capture something at a perfect time and you may never replicate it again, but it lives in your mind forever. Yeah. And there are very few things that can do that. And so like transporting these wines, like, and they call them reefers, these refrigerated trucks, and kind of making sure they're on in refrigeration until they get here, kind of help it. But it is a living, breathing, active agricultural product that some people maybe in Europe would argue like it's not going to taste the same as it is over there. But the beauty of it, of these wines that we believe in, of not adding these sterilization moments and these things to basically preserve them so they could sit on a shelf forever. They are full of life, and they have this mystery and this wonder, and kind of makes life richer and deeper and worth experiencing. I don't know, to get a little philosophical on you, but
philosophical.
Man, that was beautiful.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie About Time, but I feel like that's kind of what he gets. Have you ever watched that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's kind of same sort of idea. Whenever we had Hannah on, we talked about that. Cause she's obviously, similarly to y'all, like, she's gotten, like, she chased her dream. She opened up the space with Last Call. She got the accolades, she got the praise, whatever. And then at the end of the day, you kind of still have to ask yourself the question, like, why am I doing this? What gets me excited about this? And we talked about how there's this like one scripture passage that I really like. I don't know if y'all know this, but I work at a church, so I read the Bible a lot. And in Isaiah, there's this prophecy that Isaiah gives about like the time to come, like way off in the future. And it's like new heavens, new earth. And the two things around the table are the finest wines and the finest bone marrow. And I think it's fascinating that those are the two most expensive, like that's the two most expensive of those two, like of beverages, wine is the most expensive beverage in the world. And of meat, bone marrow is the most. So it's like even though this prophecy is like thousands of years old, like there's still like this beauty of like, there's just like this moment around a table with like really yummy food. So it is like, like freaking do good work, create great wines, but also like the table is more important than the wine to a certain extent. So
it can be the main event or it can be an afterthought. And I think we're kind of okay with both, you know, like you experience it on different levels at different times.
Yeah. Cause honestly, I feel like the same way for coffee too. I feel like there'd be people that would come in, like coffee heads that would come into that place that I worked at in North Carolina, and they would want like the best pour overs in the world. And like what they didn't know was like, like you're saying, like the bag had been on the shelf for, on the single origins. Like we didn't have many people like showing up to get it in the cafe, but the bag had been on the shelf for months and stuff like that. But they would still be like, they wanted this experience, and people really cared more about like me talking to them. Like it was so interesting. Like whenever I would like serve the coffee, explain where it was from, explain the farmer, yada yada yada. It was like they definitely would have had a better experience than if I would have just been like, here you go, see ya. Yeah. Or just like, Myers, put it out and then run away. Yeah. That's kind of a pet peeve I have, is like, I think that cafes, you're not too busy. You should take every drink to the table.
I like to differentiate that I think a cafe is full service, whereas a coffee shop is the place that calls your
screams
name,
your name,
the coffee up on the shelf.
Yeah.
For you to grab. Anyway.
Yeah. Brandon, let's hear about you, man. I mean, Trent, your story's awesome. I think it's so cool. I would love to like find the parallels and then also hear more about what it was like for y'all to meet and stuff.
Yeah, totally. I think there are probably some timings of when we kind of got into wine. There's probably similar timelines. But yeah, I grew up in Decatur, D-Rock.
No place greater.
As we called it. There was a really great local cable TV station. Trent may remember this when there was local cable TV stations, but there was this group called, if anybody's from Decatur, shout out. There's a group called Freaks of Nature. It's FREAK, I think ZNATCHA.
Freaks of Nature.
And they made this amazing music video, and it was kind of all geared around the like "Welcome to Decatur" sign, which is not worthy of a rap video, but they like made this amazing rap video, and that's what I think of.
Wow.
When I think of Decatur. But no, it's a good place to grow up. Went to all through school there, lived in the same place with my folks, and really wasn't not a culinary home. Lots of TV dinners and both parents working really hard, multiple jobs, and, did the whole traditional sports things, but was into music a lot. That was kind of the artistic side that I kind of got into. Worked for my granddad, who was a carpenter. So
let's go.
Shout out to the woodworkers out there. So got a little bit of like skills and kind of got into that. But went off to school at UNA, studied music, thought I was going to do like music business, that kind of thing. Did studio engineering and then kind of transitioned into RTF. You know what that stands for?
Oh, no idea.
Radio, television, and film. So transitioned into like more of a film kind of background. And I was like, had a little handy cam. I was making like videos for my church or with some friends, you know, like little, like the Blair Witch Project had just come out. So, was on that level trying to make little like scary things sometimes, but editing videos for like elementary schools and all the above. But so kind of went down that path, did like the car commercial thing for a little while, like the local car commercial. Like, we're down here at Ford Chevrolet, or I don't know what it'd be called, but did that, some weddings, and then followed my girlfriend, now wife still. Shout out to San Francisco.
Cool.
And just kind of started.
Did she go to UNA as well?
She went to Auburn.
Oh, okay. Well, architecture.
She did the architecture program, did the Rural Studio program, that whole kind of thing.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna out myself right now. The girl that was, I forgot her name. Dang it! They just named the Auburn building after her in downtown Birmingham. She was like over the Rural Studio, like originally. Do you remember who that is?
It was the kind of the most famous guy was Sambo Mockbee, is like the guy who founded it.
Okay,
I believe technically, but Cheryl Morgan was running
That's what I'm talking about.
The Birmingham. They had like a city version.
Oh, really?
And Cheryl Morgan ran that. She's sweetest lady.
That's cool.
It was the Urban Studio, right?
Yeah, the Urban Studio. That's what it's called.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
How did you and Amanda meet?
We grew up kind of sitting on the same back row of our church. Like our families were friends, and
she's from Decatur too.
She's from Decatur. Yeah.
Okay.
So she had siblings, and I was the only child, but there was a bunch of kids. We all kind of grew up together at the same church, and my grandparents started this church, and her family went to it and were very involved. And her mom was like my aunt's best friend. And so very cool, very small world. Like I think when I was born, my grandmother called her mom and like Brandon
Wow.
arrived, or whatever you said back
crazy.
then. She sent a telegram or something.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah, carrier pigeon. So our families have been friends for a long time, but we sort of, I say we dated. My wife claims we didn't date in high school, but we hung out in high school some, and then got back together after college.
Cool. Where'd y'all meet out after college? Y'all were in Birmingham, or
it was still back in Decatur, basically.
Okay.
I would go down to Auburn some to see her. I was still kind of interested in her.
Yeah.
And so I'd go down and see friends and like, hey, let's hang out. And she's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to a wine and cheese party tonight in college.
Wow.
And so she blew me off that first time. But then I was working at the American Eagle. Shout out American Eagle.
Yeah, you
For a
were.
wine and cheese party?
What?
She blew you off.
for a
She
wine
did.
and
Yeah,
cheese
in
party?
college.
That's crazy.
So after that,
Like
you've
on the
always
Auburn, Georgia
tried.
So
weekend.
that's
I've always
where-
like,
Look,
That's
I'm
why
gonna
for
be
wine.
the wine and cheese party.
Wine came into Brandon's life because he knew that
You know,
was
I
how
think
he was
that's
going
a
to
good
get the
Boy, you
girl.
did.
maybe that's why I'm like, I want to be the, you know what, you
You
like
don't even
wine
have
and
to go to
cheese? I want to be the
counseling
ultimate
anymore.
wine and cheese.
Okay, we'll do wine and cheese.
Yeah, I'll show you wine and cheese. Anyways, so working at the American Eagle, so she sent a friend in to check me out, and I was in there folding T-shirts diligently, singing along to the playlist. And no, after a couple of visits, because we would go home to the same place over the holidays,
Sure.
we kind of reconnected, and yeah. But my wine journey really probably started officially is probably when I proposed to her, I would say.
Wow.
I'm sort of kind of on the fly, on the whim. I get a creative idea. Let's go try something. So I had the idea, I'm going to catch a ride to California with her brother and then catch another ride from LA up to San Francisco. And I'm going to go propose to Amanda. And so I was, if anyone's ever proposed, I know these two have. Are you married or
I am
proposed?
married,
Yeah. Okay. So
I
y'all
have proposed.
You all can think about your proposal. I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do for a proposal? Am I gonna like take her to a Giants game and like do it on the jumbotron,
Right.
like I've seen in different movies? What was the Jimmy Fallon movie?
Night at the Roxbury.
No. Where he proposes on like the jumbotron.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't he propose? Anyways,
Yeah, that one.
it's a well-known trope. People do it,
Yeah.
a lot every day, and I guess it works so far. But I knew it was going to take something a little more detailed, so I was like, okay, I won't tell you all my thoughts because we'll be here forever. But we go to IKEA, which is the worst place to go when you're about to propose. We go to IKEA, we talk about some things, and I think we got in an argument actually. But we're on the way up to wine country, and there's a really fancy winery called Ravenswood. You guys know
Wow.
it? It's not that fancy. I'm joking.
Oh, I have no idea. Sounds awesome. Though.
It's on probably every Target shelf, gas
Oh,
station
nice.
shelf.
Gotcha.
But
it was one of those like 50 years ago. It was legendary.
yeah,
And then,
Now it's just
now
everywhere.
the family sold
yeah.
it, and it's like
gotcha.
corporate America got a hold of it.
Yeah.
Now it's on every bottom
It's
shelf.
been
in every
commoditized.
grocery store.
yes, it has been. But at the time, it wasn't so bad. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to a winery and propose. That sounds like really cool and romantic.
Yeah.
And I like my experience with wine then was like the jugs of Carlo Rossi from like Walmart. I don't know if anyone has experienced that, but you don't really want to drink a whole one of those jugs during a game of Alabama football. But I can tell you what will happen. It's not very pretty.
Oh, good.
But anyway, so I'm like, we're gonna go to this winery, and so we're tasting. We're at like a formal tasting room. There's like some sweet wines. There's some heavy wines. You're kind of there's a lot of alcohol on the table there. It's not like these low kind of alcohol wines that we have. And she goes to the bathroom, and I asked the guy who ended up being Joel Peterson, the guy, the like owner, the famous guy. He was working the tasting room that day. And I didn't know who it was. And I was like, hey, I really want to propose to my girlfriend. Could I go out in the vineyard? He's like, oh, well, we typically don't just like let people wander around out there. But you seem like a nice enough guy. You seem pretty nervous. Like, here, take this bottle of sweet Moscato, and y'all go have, do it. Have a good time. And so we go out there, and I was very nervous. But I proposed, and she said yes, and we drank the Moscato and came back in, and I told Joel, I was like, hey, we got engaged, like we're gonna join the wine club. And so we joined their wine club, and for years shared those wines as memories.
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
it's always sentimental.
So I think like wine had like a very sentimental, like it's kind of felt a part of our story, all the way back from the wine and cheese party. So I'm just redeeming those. And anyways, lived out there for a while, worked in the film industry, really got into coffee.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I really dug deeper into wine, I would say, after making a documentary about the specialty coffee industry. Kind of realized that it can be a commodity, or it can be this deep dive thing that you geek out on and feel connection with other humans around the world and spend your life, studying and become an academic. Yeah. And so there were these two levels. And so I was like, wait, maybe wine is like that too. And so kind of just started learning a little more about it, going to visit wine country more, and kind of coincided with fast forwarding a lot of years, but was in the Bay Area for 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Experienced a lot of great food and wine there, a lot of great coffee, but the wine thing kind of towards, I would say the last maybe 4 years in the Bay Area really kind of ramped up, and I was considering studying wine, considering kind of doing some part-time wine things, but was also considering working in coffee, so considering doing a lot of other things. But I felt like my heart was really like deep diving into food and bev, specifically coffee and wine. Yeah. Even after the documentary, like it scratched that itch, but I still had this desire to kind of go a little more into that. But
all the while, like your day job during these times is still film, like when you're in San Francisco?
Yeah, so my day job, the whole time I was there, except for like the first 6 months, I worked at a temp agency. Okay. If you've ever done that or experienced that. But it's a really interesting learning experience. You sort of get a call every morning at 7 a.m. It's like, oh, this woman is on maternity leave. You're going to go work at Sephora. You're going to go work at Bed Bath & Body Works. And so, but corporate, like I would go work in these corporate offices, like filling in as the secretary or filling in as someone's assistant. So I did that for a while. But after that, I got into film and kind of worked in a school called the Academy of Art. I was in their cyber video department. But we would film like different artists teaching a class. Like the coolest one was the woman who developed Jar Jar Binks from Star Wars.
Wow.
The creator of that, she taught a character drawing class, I guess. And so we became buds. She was like this really interesting, frail, older lady, kept to herself, brought her lunch every day. And so we would like go sit in the park and have lunch together, which is kind of an interesting relationship to develop.
That's crazy.
She's really neat and kind of cool, like to experience kind of that. So anyways, did that for a little while and then started working at a really large advertising agency called Goodby Silverstein and Partners. They developed like Got Milk, like one of the most famous advertisements in the world. But at the time I was there, they had NBA, Sprint, Comcast, Chevrolet, like a huge agency. Wow. So I worked as an intern there and then worked in their creative development department.
Wow.
Started editing commercials and then started working as a director of photography and then as a director ultimately. And then worked there for 4 years.
That's
kind of went freelance. And then the rest of the time there, I was working basically freelance.
Yeah.
With a production company that I still work with today called Avocados and Coconuts.
Let's go.
So they produced the coffee film and
cool.
All the other stuff I worked on while I was there. So
that's great. Okay, so this is a random thing, but you were working with the NBA in San Francisco while the Golden State Warriors were the best basketball team on earth. Was that fun?
Yeah, that was great. Kind of a ironic, interesting story because I actually didn't start working with them until I moved to Birmingham.
Oh, no way.
So they thought I lived in the Bay Area still.
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness, because they wouldn't have called me probably if the
Warriors knew is what you're referring to, or the NBA, or I guess both.
Technically, I was working for Nike.
Oh, okay.
So it was a documentary. The idea was to make a documentary about Kevin Durant as he goes to the finals. He had a new shoe coming out, but a lot of people hated him.
Yeah.
So in one way, it was like a propaganda film.
Yeah.
But in another way, it was like I kind of took it on as like, hey, let's tell this guy's story. He's kind of misunderstood. Cool. I really liked him as a person, as a player. I didn't know him personally until we started the film, but it was a chance to do kind of a branded documentary and kind of do a deep dive on like a person that no one in the world really gets to know. So it was Nike that commissioned that basically. So I was living here. They had seen my coffee documentary.
Wow.
So passion projects do pay off.
Let's go.
Everybody keep doing them.
Come on.
Sometimes maybe not in the form that you think they do, but they wanted somebody who can make sort of a long form cinematic documentary that was Bay Area based. I was competing against a really like famous director in LA that does documentaries, and they thought I lived in the Bay Area. And we had a meeting, and after the meeting, I called my producer. I was like, I think that went horribly. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. And she's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it didn't go as well as we thought. Like, maybe it went okay. And then a few hours later, they're like, hey, we want you to come over to Kevin Durant's house tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. I'm in Crestwood, like not very far from here. Putting together my daughter's crib. We just moved in on like 8th Avenue South and right behind the park there. And my producer called me and I didn't answer because I was putting together the crib. She left me a voicemail. She's like, if I had like a dream project, would you move back to San Francisco? And I was like, it's kind of a hard question. I don't know. And I told my wife, I was like, I got to go call her. Like, this seems very interesting. And so she's like, hey, this is the scenario. This is what's going on. And so after we got that follow-up call, I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to drive to Atlanta and take a red eye. So I drove over middle of the night, took the first flight to the Bay Area, interviewed with them, and it went really well. And I still didn't tell them that I lived in Alabama. I was like, yeah, you guys want to set up an office here at your house? Like, we'll do that. We'll work from here. And so we just kind of worked out the details on the back end. Moved back and lived there for 3 months after living here. Which kind of
cool freaking documentary.
Which really dovetails into when I met Trent, because I met Trent during that time.
Wow.
And I was trying to get Golden Age off. It was unnamed at the time, but trying to get this project off the ground. And Trent and I met. He was working in the wholesale world. And I had just kind of emailed a bunch of people. I didn't know anybody in the industry here after moving from San Francisco. And I emailed a bunch of companies, and I'd heard that Grassroots was a really good one. And we had a mutual friend, and she's like, oh, you got to meet Trent. So we met, talked about wine, really hit it off. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was like, hey, I got to put this on hold. Like, I got to go, I got to do this thing. Like, I didn't really know how it was going to shake out at the time because it wasn't sure if it was going to go live or whatever, so it's sort of still speculative. And I was like, I got to go chase this thing down with Kevin Durant and Nike, and I'll let you know how it goes afterwards. So we sort of put the idea on hiatus during that. So Golden Age was already kind of starting to form during that time period.
What year is that?
That would have been in, it was the 16-17 NBA season. So it would have been in 16 is when we moved here. So we probably met maybe the end of 16, early 17, probably. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
That's actually crazy. I just asked that Golden State Warriors question because I was a Golden State Warriors fan in high school. I had no idea that you did a documentary about Kevin Durant. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. It was a fun.
Wild you met him during that. That was a kind of
fun project. Really interesting. Like they were very specific on like access to him, and so worked with a really great sports photographer. His name's Jed Jacobson.
Cool.
He had shot like some of the greatest Sports Illustrated covers you've ever seen. Like images that you just think of like an iconic image of anybody from Michael Jordan to Michael Phelps,
Dwayne
LeBron,
Wade.
everybody, Ricky Henderson, like all these amazing photos. Like he shot them, but he was new to like video, and he had never like run sound. But they were like, Jed has to be the guy to shoot all the stuff with me, and so we came up with this idea like, okay, Jed will ride to practice with you every day, film practice. I'll be on the phone with him and ask questions to Kevin via Jed while he's in the car. And so Jed would be filming. So we kind of got him a camera, taught him some basics of like video and sound. And he already had an incredible eye, great photographer. So it wasn't a hard leap, but it was a lot to ask somebody who's used to taking stills to, hey, become like a cameraman, DP and sound guy and relay all these messages. So he really did a lot of like amazing work on that project and gave us great access. And so, it was fun. It was a fun dynamic project.
That's wild.
Yeah. So in 2016, whenever I was a wee little freshman at Sanford, there was a bloke over in Crestwood flying to San Francisco to film Kevin Durant. That's crazy to think about. Okay, so talk to us about like why did you move back to Birmingham? Like how did that? I feel like that's kind of a pretty crazy piece to the puzzle that you left out there.
Yeah, so it is. So we, as I mentioned, kind of working in the film industry, making commercials and mostly real people documentaries.
Yeah.
So not like narrative films. I'd like to do that one day still, maybe. But mostly real people things. And so in that world, if you're making, say, a branded documentary for somebody, for something, I'll use one, for example, we filmed this thing in Wisconsin about like a cranberry farm and
Nice.
sheeps and all these things. And so anyways, you're going there.
Yeah.
You have to go there. It's not like someone flies to a studio.
Sure.
So I was doing that a lot, flying around the world, around the country, and gone a lot, and had a small kid. And my wife's career was really taking off at the architecture firm. She was becoming a partner, so she was busy. So we were both working full time, both traveling. I was gone a lot, had a full-time nanny, living in an amazing apartment in San Francisco. But it's like, I guess there is enough money in the world to make that where that could have worked.
Sure.
But there wasn't enough with two people making really good salaries even to make it feasible.
Yeah.
So it just kind of got to the point like, this is not working.
Huh.
We kind of had like to make a tough decision because we loved our life. We've been living there. We had a great apartment, incredible friends, incredible community. We both really loved our work, but it was sort of conflicting with where we were in our stage of life. So it's kind of one of those adult decisions you kind of have to make sometimes. And we kind of were feeling a call back this way to the South as well. I think there's something like if you're from somewhere, like sometimes you just kind of like are drawn back somewhere.
Yeah,
I think there's just something in your DNA maybe that kind of draws you back to family and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Sense of place.
sense of place. Yeah.
Like telenoir maybe or something like that.
Terroir.
Terroir, yeah.
Absolutely.
Telenoir. I like that. It sounds like a Spanish TV.
It's kind of like
station.
Pinot Noir and telecommunications had a baby.
Telenoir. Maybe that should be your band name. Telenoir.
Perfect.
There's your project you're working on. There's your album.
Yeah.
There we go.
Free naming advice. No, but just we kind of felt like we were going to make that switch back.
Yeah.
And so we kind of realized, well, we're not going to go back to Decatur. No offense to Decatur, but we wanted to go to maybe a bigger city. Amanda had lived here. Speaking of Cheryl Morgan was her professor in college. She, in addition to the rural studio, she also did a semester at the Auburn Urban Studio in Birmingham. So she had lived here before. And so she was like, I'd lived in Birmingham. When we would come back, those 10 years living in the Bay Area, we had some dear friends here in Birmingham. They're still here. So we would come back and visit them over the holidays some. And so we're like, maybe we can make Birmingham work. It seems to be pretty cool. So this was in 16 that we moved here. And we kind of ended up down by Revelator at the Phoenix Lofts.
Oh, cool.
We were there.
Y'all lived in Phoenix Lofts?
Lived in Phoenix Lofts. Wow. We made it about 9 months. So
you couldn't do it anymore?
Couldn't do it. It's hard. We had a newborn baby and a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And just...
is it loud? I've always been curious. This is also a thing in Birmingham that not many people know about the Phoenix Lofts, but they're like freaking cool.
They're amazing kind of artist lofts and huge.
Yeah.
But the only door that would close off to any room in the place was the bathroom. So the bedrooms are like partitions up. Yeah. They're kind of like... And I've only been in a few, but a lot of them are like that. Yeah. But they're very cool lofts. They have a certain smell to them just from over the years. But just for us, it was like had some issues with like a neighbor who didn't like a crying baby. Yeah. But it happens. So we decided we need like a little space. Mm-hmm. We need to not get our walls banged on and get high from secondhand smoke every day when we come home in the elevator. So anyways, so we moved on from the Phoenix Loft to Crestwood.
Yeah, and Cheryl Morgan to the 2000s point. I think Cheryl Morgan bought where she lives now. It wasn't too long after 2000, and she's like one of the first people that made Birmingham cool. I mean, Frank Stitt and Cheryl Morgan are kind of like of present day Birmingham, they feel like the trailblazers.
Yeah,
like
her place is amazing.
Her
Have you been in it?
Cheryl's place is
I want to go so bad. That was what I was going to out myself with earlier, is because I was assuming your wife would know her because like they have similar design like tastes, I guess, from what I've seen. And I watched the documentary on her home, but I've never been. I would love to go one day.
One of the first wine tastings that Brandon and I ever did together.
Yeah.
There back in around, I guess, 2017, 2018, 2019, there was a group of people. What were the dinners called?
A seasonal supper.
Yeah, and it was like a quarterly maybe thing.
Yeah, kind of quarterly, kind of really spearheaded by this guy, Bryant Rice, who's a dear friend of ours, kind of like family. He lives in New Orleans now, but he was living here, and he was living in Cheryl's home at the time because she spent some time in New York with her husband, and they spent some time other places, taking care of different family members or different things. And so Bryant would come and stay sometimes with them, but sometimes he'd have the place to himself. Cool. And so he just, for this season and time, I think maybe that was in 18.
Maybe it was in 18, yeah.
But it was in her home, though, the wine tasting.
Yeah, so basically he was doing these seasonal suppers and would always invite, like, it was kind of a revolving invite list. It was just like people from different fields, different demographics, and it was always a very interesting supper to be invited to. You meet really interesting people, and so he did one at Cheryl's home, and this was when Golden Age, we were hot and heavy. It was like we were in the thick of planning. Okay. And he actually asked us to do the wine for the seasonal supper and of do a sort of almost like a wine tasting before the meal. And so that may have been the first thing that we ever did together.
Yeah.
Was at Cheryl's.
So. Yeah.
That's so cool. This is the girl that, do you know what we're talking about? She has her home is on an episode of, I think it's called The Place We Call Home, The Place We Made Home. It's something like that. But I think it's on HBO.
I think it's on HBO.
I can't remember what it was, but
or whatever.
Anyways, there's a building. There was a building over in Crestwood, kind of across the street. It's like a white garage. It's still for lease. It's like across the street from that new hair place, Lucille's, and it was for sale. It had like a for sale by owner, and I called the guy who owned it. This was like a while ago. This was probably a year and a half ago, and he was like, yeah. I wanted to. I have this like kind of pipe dream of opening up a vinyl like cafe, and he and I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to do it. I think Crestwood would be like a really cool place for someone to have like a cafe. And he was like, oh no way, like. And then he told me his house was also on this thing, and I had no idea. Like literally, I came across it because he told me to watch his homes. Oh wow! Because he turned like an old factory over in Crestwood into a home that's like freaking so cool too. But anyways, he sold the factory to some developer from Nashville. And that person from Nashville has the thing listed. It's like 1,000 square feet maybe. I mean, it's a tiny garage for like, I think it's like $5,300 a month. And I'm like,
wow, that's a lot.
Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to go on a whole rant, but anyways, that's freaking cool. Y'all met Cheryl so early on, but that was how I came across her home, and I've always thought what she did was so cool. So that's pretty awesome that you had that connection coming back to Birmingham. Yeah, because I bet it was easy to conceptualize like how to make Birmingham an awesome space.
Well, I think too, Cheryl, the summer of 16, when we moved her in the fall. In the summer, we came back to like, that's when we thought, okay, maybe we are going to consider moving back. The kind of the first person we met is Cheryl.
Wow.
She's like, come see my house. And so we went over, and you see her place, and you're like, whoa, this is possible here. Yeah. Granted, like it's a very unicorn place. Yeah. And so in my mind, I was like, yeah, let's do that. But as you've said, it's not so easy. She's so brilliant and like works so diligently and so hard and was so ahead of the curve, and like also just has great taste. So she was able to do that. It's not easily replicatable.
Like quite literally. I mean, like that strip that she had on, I think she like, there's like a Reddit thread or something that said she bought it for like $20,000 or $40,000, like back in like 2000 or 2001. And like the recent building that just got sold on that same street was like 1.2 million. So it's like, I mean, quite literally, it's just it is a completely different sport we're playing now in Birmingham than what she was playing. But
Totally.
It's so cool.
So where did the idea for Golden Age come from? Because we're kind of getting there. You said it was stirring in that time period, 16, 17, something.
Yeah. I would say even earlier, probably it was stirring. I think for me, it was, I'd worked on a documentary about coffee, and that was I pulled on that thread. I had this coffee from Blue Bottle, and it was a naturally processed coffee from Ethiopia, from Misty Valley was like what they called it, the name of the place. And I pulled on that thread. I was like, I'm going to make a documentary. Did that. With wine, I started having these like low intervention natural wines, and I tasted one at the premiere of the coffee film in Seattle. It's a winery called Bow and Arrow. We work with one of their Pinot Noirs, and it was like a naturally fermented Gamay. And I was like, man, there's something very different about this of all the other wines I've tasted. So I started like pulling that string, and coincided with thinking about moving back here. And I was like, I got to figure this out. But I didn't really, I knew how hard it was just coming off making a film about coffee. Yeah. I was like, making a documentary about this isn't necessarily like financially viable as a business in terms of to make money and to keep going, and for how much work it takes. It's definitely a labor of love, passion project that Avocados and Coconuts fully paid for. So I knew it was like not something we could just dive into another one. And I was like, but we had visited here, and there weren't really a ton of places that I wanted to go hang out and drink wine and could buy wine that I was tasting around the world and in the Bay Area. And so I was like, maybe there's opportunity for that here. And so when we decided we were moving back, I called the ABC board, and I was like, hey, how does it cost to get a license for, wine? And they were like, oh, I think it's like $250 or something. I was like, wow. Whereas to get like the liquor license in San Francisco, they're very like limited. They only have so many in town. Yeah. And the going rate at the time that I was told was $1 million.
Holy cow.
So not only are you on this wait list, you're typically like having to buy it second hand from another business that's like a going out of business. It could be any kind of bar, but you'd have to buy that business in order to get the license. And so there were all these kind of loopholes. I was like, maybe this could like kind of work out to open something, but it wasn't fully fleshed out. But I knew that I wanted it to be a wine shop. This place has fallen down. All the listeners, just so you know, there's stuff falling from the ceiling.
Things falling.
This is an earth-shattering story. So it was like I knew I wanted a place like that I kind of experienced in the Bay Area. Some of my favorite places is a place called Ruby Wine that I loved going to. There's a couple other places out there that were wine shop and wine bar. And we're really unique in Alabama that you can have an on and off premise license. So you can sell retail wine and drink wine in the same building. You can't do that in Tennessee. You can't do that in New York. I don't know. There's a lot of other states.
I think Georgia might have just changed that, but I've looked for wine bars in other surrounding states when we've traveled.
Yeah, not every state can do it. And so I was like, well, that's kind of unique. Like we could actually replicate something like that. So just started started stirring and was looking at some places. And that's kind of when Trent and I connected, and I'll let Trent kind of tell his side of kind of what was stirred in him. But
our timing and meeting, it couldn't have been any better. We were so lucky. I got in the industry in 2014, and quite frankly, when I got into the industry in 2014, like I had heard of this thing called natural wine, but honestly at the time didn't even quite grasp what it was. All I was told was, these are like really funky wines. That's what natural wine is. I didn't even, in 2014 really understand the what was different between like classic conventional wine and natural wine. But I was really, we were talking about that concept of terroir earlier. As a wine consumer and then getting into the industry, I was still really chasing that idea of terroir, trying to find these wines that really speak of where they come from. I was fascinated by that.
Yeah.
And, I started getting in the industry. I went to work for this really large retailer, and we were the biggest retailer in Alabama, one of the biggest retailers in the Southeast. It was a locally owned grocery store in Birmingham called The Western.
Wow.
and it was over in Mountain Brook, very close to where our location is now. And because we were such a huge juggernaut as far as retail wine sales, all the wine distributors in the state, they wanted to sell us wine because, if they sold a little tiny wine shop wine or a restaurant, they might sell a case or whatever. But if they sold us a wine, it might be 20 cases because we were so big. And so they all were always focused on selling wine to us. And so they would bring their sample wine bags in like these old mini roller suitcases in every day. And they would want us to taste wines to sell us. And at the time I was a pretty good note taker. I was really meticulous with taking tasting notes because I was starting to go kind of down the wine academic path and kind of the sommelier path, if you will.
Sure.
And so after I'd worked, I had this moleskin notebook, and after I'd worked at this one retailer for a month, I'd filled up my notebook and realized I'd tasted over 300 wines in the first month.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And so I was getting this like crazy palate education. And I was, and over time there, I started to recognize some wines really seemed to be screaming to me out of the glass that they're unique. They're from a certain place.
Huh.
And they were just a little bit more singular than this ocean of other stuff
Sure.
I was tasting every day. And when I started, looking behind the curtain a little bit, seeing what, what these winemakers, what was different about them, I immediately started seeing organic and biodynamic viticulture, no chemicals in the vines.
Sure.
And then even diving further, I started reading that, these wines that I really think are more interesting, they're spontaneously fermented, they're naturally fermented, and they're unfined, they're unfiltered, there's no additives. And that was really how I started to discover that. And that's really what natural wine is, or low intervention wine. And so my palate really took me in that direction. It was all about chasing terroir, really.
Yeah.
And that coincided with me getting into wine academia. I studied in this program called the WSET. It's an organization based in London, and I went through the whole program. I went through the whole 4 levels and got the diploma, and it was really almost like going to wine industry college for 4 years. It took me nearly 4 years to get through it.
Fascinating.
But when I got into the more advanced levels and was really having to study viticulture and vinification is when I really started to realize that most wines that, the public is drinking, these wines are really heavily manipulated. Organic viticulture was still only, less than say 5% at the time of vineyards around the world were organically farmed. And, and I started to, again, in wine academia, I'm studying winemaking, and I'm learning about all the things that are added to wines to make them taste and smell a certain way.
Interesting.
And it was wild to me. I just, up to that point, I didn't realize how manipulated most wine on the shelf actually was. They weren't fermented with native yeast. It was lab cultured yeasts, not from the terroir of the place. They were from some laboratory, maybe in another country. And, and learned through that process that there were nearly 100 things that you could add to a bottle of wine in the U.S. and legally call it wine and not put the ingredients on the label. It was wild to me. And so I'm discovering all this as Brandon is transitioning back to Birmingham, and we just happen to have a few mutual friends that connected us. And I'd started thinking around really pretty early on, honestly, around the time I got in the industry in 2014, I looked at some properties around town thinking, maybe I'll open a little wine shop or something. And so I'd already kind of had that in the back of my mind a little bit. And so we had a mutual friend connect us, and it started as, I like this guy. We totally hit it off. I took him to lunch. Yeah. I was in distribution at the time with I worked for a company called Grassroots, and our biggest customer was Frank Stitt in his restaurants.
Oh, cool.
He was a dear friend. And so I told Brandon, I was like, hey, let's meet on the patio at Chez Fonfon. I never actually met him in person. We just emailed back and forth a little bit, and we met. I'm thinking that was 2017?
Yeah, I think so. 17.
And we meet on the patio at Fonfon, and we just immediately connected. And we just start
It was
crushing
love at
wine.
first sight.
It was. I mean, it's a beautiful like spring day at Fun on the patio. And we just start crushing wine together, and we're there all afternoon. And after that, we were like fast friends.
That's awesome.
So, but initially it was me trying to help him start something cool.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm a distributor. I can show this guy the ropes. He's never done anything in the alcohol industry in Alabama. I've been in it long enough. I understand how things work.
Sure.
I can help him out. Hopefully he opens something cool. And then in the end, I'll also sell him wine. It'll be, profitable for me as well from a business perspective. And so, that's how the friendship started. And then, we started meeting over coffee normally. We drank way more coffee early on together than wine. And, then he went and did the Trent film and was gone for a while. And after he got back, it had been a few months since we had seen or spoken, and we had a conversation. And at that point, I realized I'd been in distribution long enough. I missed interacting with the end user that consumes the wine. Like I miss kind of more the retail world where I was selling wine to people that were going to go home and actually drink it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. I miss that side of it, the customer guest facing side. And so I was kind of yearning to get back there. And, I just kind of on the spot, the first time we kind of got back together after the Trent film, I was like, I'm excited about what you're doing. Like, would you be interested in having a partner? And he was open to that. And so
Yeah, for sure.
Were you like, how did you feel whenever?
Well,
like,
I mean, I think
he
for
entered the
me,
chat?
I was, I had felt personally frustrated by not being able to get this thing off the ground personally, but also incredibly like scared about what was ahead of me because I had never, I'd ran my own like film business before, but that was just like a independent contractor. Like I had a business on like paper, but it was really, I was working with avocados and coconuts, or I was working for the advertising agency or whatever. I was like an employee or like self-employed. It wasn't like having employees, running a business in the alcohol industry, like in a new place where I didn't know all the rules. I kind of, so when he said that, I was like, I mean, I don't know if I said it immediately, but I felt like I came home and told my wife, I was like, I think this is like it. This is what I needed. I think we both could be like a really good fit. And because we'd spent like not a ton of time together, we'd gotten together maybe a half dozen or a dozen times. So we chatted like long enough to kind of know. So I was like very stoked on it because I was like, this would be great. Like I really need someone who has the strengths that Trent has. And I think that he sort of is humble about it, but he's definitely in Birmingham, probably one of the most educated formally people about wine in town. Also, so props to him on that, because the WSET diploma level is very hard. Like not many people go through it. How many people graduated when you did in the country?
In the country, it was, I mean, maybe like 1-2 dozen, something like that.
Yeah. So not a lot of people. And anyway, so like his knowledge and his passion, and we both kind of had this vision for let's provide a wine shop and bar that has a point of view. That was another thing that is still missing in a lot of businesses around the world. I think that's the number one thing people miss. If you take anything away from this and you're starting a business, like have a point of view, like really have something to say. Because if you don't, then you're just noise. And like, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
That was a lesson I learned in filmmaking. It's like there's a million people wanting to be filmmakers. And, there was a quote, I don't know if it was David Lynch or somebody, but it was like filmmaking is about having something to say. And so the thing that I ran into in my film career was that I had some great work. I had some beautiful work. But when ultimately you're getting judged the way it works in like an advertising setting for a director, for like a real job, I'll say, that has money attached to it, there's like a triple bid scenario. So the agency will put forward 3 directors and they're looking for work samples. Hey, have you done something very similar to this Lipton iced tea commercial that we have before? Oh, you like have done a coffee thing. You'd be great for this or whatever, They're looking for these specific things, but they're also looking for something unique and specific. And so when we set out to do this, something that we both felt very passionate about was like, let's have a point of view. Let's like really like let's put our flag in the ground about something, and sort of, people can say it's right or wrong, or they can disagree or agree. But in terms of like feeling good about yourself and going home at the end of the day, knowing that you're doing something important, it's like, I think having a point of view is key.
That's really cool.
I'm a big business nerd, so I study that kind of stuff all the time. Very entrepreneurially minded. And business world, a lot of times they talk about it as like niching down, like having your niche that you focus on. Yeah. But I like your language better. I think that's more beautiful, having a point of view.
Yeah, it's a little more like you don't have to, you just have an opinion on something. It's like, I think so often like the way now we consume information and media, it's like you can sort of, a lot of ideas can kind of come out the same. Yeah. And I think just kind of being true to yourself, like expressing yourself is important.
That's really cool. Yeah, Kellen was on, I don't know, probably like 6 months ago now. And he was he kind of explained it in the way of like, you should have a moment in every single interaction with a customer. And do y'all get y'all's haircut at Zephyr?
I don't get my hair cut that often. I was going to say. I have before.
You have at Zephyr before?
Scott has cut my hair before.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Shout out Scott, legend. Yeah. Have you been to Zephyr before?
I have not actually.
Okay, well they do this thing at the very end where they shave your neck with like a straight razor with hot shaving cream, and then they have a scented towel. It's the Zephyr scent that they made with this like company. I forgot who it was. And excuse me, but they like put it over your neck after they like straight razor shave you, and then it's like this calming moment, but it's like their one moment that explains kind of their mantra, which is Zephyr is a cool breeze from the west, and Kellen's from San Diego and has moved to, he also went to UNA, and he moved to Alabama, and then he wants it to kind of be a way to exemplify that mantra, or like the point of view, like you're saying, of like, it is like, I'm trying to be like a refreshing, new, calm hospitality that's like very influenced from San Diego, but currently like loving doing it here. And but because like, or his whole idea is when you go to a barber shop, like if you're like explaining to someone like, oh, you got to go to my barber, I love him. Well, like people give recommendations all the time. So then people are always like, oh, why? Like what about it? And then you need to have like a very practical thing to hand to someone. Because like now, I don't know, Trent, because I don't know you that well, but I imagine you're probably like really thinking about going there now because of how amazing that moment is. Because it is.
Hot towel sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, and it's free too. Like it's like, well, I mean, it's not free, but it's like part of the cost. Part of it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. And I don't know, like I think about different ways that manifested a lot in Golden Age too. Like the first thing that I said with you being so excited about the bricks, Trent, and then the best butter in the world. Like I remember going there one time with my wife, and you came over and you were like geeking out, telling us about how awesome it is that y'all got the best butter in the world. And literally every time that we go, we get the best butter in the world now, as if it's not out of stock, which I don't know. But I feel like it manifests itself in moments, that thing that you were going for, like the living room. I'm assuming that's what you meant by the point of view, is the hospitality side of it.
Yeah, totally. The hospitality, but also the types of wines that we sell, because we believe like that they are living things, kind of going way back to what I said earlier about kind of the wines. It's like we really do believe that. And we're not just like selling the thing that we got a deal on to try to make money. It's like it's the opposite usually. we're business wise, it's not like, it can be harder. I'll definitely be honest about that. It can be harder to have be really passionate, to have a strong stance, because it does limit some things that you can do, or that you sell. There's certain things we could sell and make a lot of money on if we sort of said, oh, let's just pull back our stance a little bit. And people try to convince us to do that, but that's not really what we want to do. Sure. Because we want to say hey, no, all these wines are like this. Like, we believe in this. This is kind of what we're about. And we're about that. Something, to give you another philosophical quote, I really am convinced that everybody is one of our kind of main, maybe it's the top 3 kind of human desires is just connection to other people. Yeah. And I think with wine, you have a huge opportunity to connect, or butter, like with the thing that I was excited about to tell you about that butter was, yes, it's delicious and your like taste buds will enjoy it. But more than that, like your mind can enjoy it for a while. And that feeling that you get and that you shared it with your wife and you can always like have that memory and that connection to this, 11 or maybe it's 12 now Jersey cows in Vermont, made by this small family.
You can know the names of the cows.
Yeah, you know the names of the cows. And so like with wine, we really want to connect you guys and our customers with, I want you to have the feeling that this winemaker as well.
Yeah.
Like you got to go in their cave as well. You got to pull up the thing in their kitchen and go down below, and you got to eat the like morels and big hunk of cheese with them. That's really, we don't go these places just to like collect these things for ourselves. We really do. We're going with a mindset and mentality like, okay, how can we pass along this feeling and this memory to someone else so it enriches their experience with this, so they can enrich their experience with somebody else?
Yeah, that is so awesome. I love Golden Age because of these things. Okay, so we've kind of talked about it throughout. So you get here, you meet Trent. Trent, you meet this guy from San Francisco, and y'all start Golden Age. And now it's like it's done the thing, like. Y'all are, how long has it been open now? Like 6 years?
6 years next week.
Birthday party's next week?
Yeah,
July 19th
on
birthday
the 19th.
party.
Yeah.
Oh, no
Come
way.
tonight.
That's actually awesome. Yeah, come tonight to the, plug yourself. Go ahead.
It's open. This drops on the 19th?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 19th.
Wait. So is the 19th a Friday?
19th is a Saturday.
Okay, we're driving this on the 18th.
Okay,
so come tomorrow.
Come tomorrow. We're in the future right now.
Let's
we're really
go.
bending time and space.
Mountain Brook the 19th, and then we're also doing a party on the 20th at the downtown location.
Oh, let's
2-day party.
Come on.
So we just started
weekend.
collabing with something called the Garden Party.
Yeah.
That has been in previous events in the past, and now we're hosting them at the Wine Garden. So yes, on July 19th, 4 to 8, we'll have Lee Shook, the Audiovore, doing vinyl DJ.
Oh, let's go.
He's awesome. He has incredible Rolodex of music history, incredible DJ. Really love him. And then Brian Stanfield from Zaza is going to be cooking outside. It's a special menu. We'll have a special kind of by the glass thing there. So that's July 19th. And then on the 20th, we'll be at the Garden Party from 2 to 8 p.m.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to have, I think we've got DJ Supreme, who's a local hip hop legend here in Birmingham. And Duquette, also another living legend. I'm very jealous. He's seeing Oasis right now.
No way.
And I've been following along with him. So shout out to Duquette, Club Duquette. And his wife Morgan's going to be doing a live painting there.
Oh, cool.
And then I believe DJ Coco is also spinning.
That's sick.
There. So that's going to be a really fun party. So 2-day party. So come check it out. We got some new merch that we're really excited about. Worked with this artist Parker. His Instagram name is Y'all Dove.
I don't
He
know.
does block printing.
Cool.
He did our artwork this year. In the past, we've worked with different artists, and in several years, Harper Schnell, one of our really talented employees, has done our artwork. But we took a break this year and just decided to let's just try something different. We had a lot going on, so I met Parker at Make just across the street from here, and I was like, hey, if you're ever interested in doing some artwork, we really like your work, and so he came up with a really creative idea. So we'll have some hats and tees.
Stuff is cool. I'm looking at it right now.
It's really cool, just handmade stuff. So we're excited about that. We love as Trent said from the beginning, we've sort of loved collaborating with local artists and kind of letting people kind of do something creative and kind of just being a part of that culture.
Yeah.
That's that kind of communal sort of spirit.
Yeah. So 6 years this coming. Okay. So talk to us about what has changed about Golden Age throughout the years, and then also you as owners. And then also talk to us about the future. What's the dream of Golden Age? What's in the docket?
So I think I'll start with what we learned early on. What changed quickly for us is, in my background in the industry here, I felt pretty strongly like I'd come from the retail world. I felt strongly like being in Mountain Brook, I was like, yeah, we can really do a good job with retail here. We should be okay. really the wine bar component for us, the on-premise component, was we knew that we were going to be working mainly with wines that people in Birmingham were probably not familiar with. And so we thought that the wine bar was a way for us to pour for people to get them comfortable with these unfamiliar products. What we didn't realize is that people in the community, they just wanted a cool, vibey wine bar to go hang out every evening. Like from day one, starting about 4:30, we were jam packed. People just like kind of chilling out, having good wine, and just having a good time. Just it from day one, and we weren't. Cool. It went from quickly from, it was day one. It was me and Brandon. We had like 2 employees that we hired. After the first couple days, we're like, okay, we pretty much are gonna have to double our staff because people want to come here and hang out and like experience the wine bar.
Yeah.
And so that was a really great surprise for us. I mean, that was kind of part of the dream, but we just weren't sure if that part of it would take off like we felt like the retail thing would.
Sure.
So the on-premise side of it was amazing from day one, and I feel like have grown as owners. I think both of us were way more comfortable with the retail thing when we opened, and we've actually kind of really, I feel like in a way, drifted in the other direction, and we really, really love the hospitality component of it. We love people coming in and sitting down and being able to take care of them. And that was something really, neither one of us, we didn't come from the restaurant industry. Neither one of us had really worked in a restaurant or a bar before, really. And so that was something that we, very early on, I feel like definitely within the first 6 months, we really were very energized doing that type of work, if you will. And so that was definitely one thing early on that I think evolved for us, for sure. And now I feel like, now our second location downtown, it's not even a retail shop. It's just really a wine bar with a really rad, small wine list. It's kind of the greatest hits of our Mountain Brook shop. And so maybe retail's to come. We're talking about it right now. We've got a lot of people asking. So, but
yeah, definitely more gray in both of our beards.
Yeah. There's a Polaroid from the first weekend of me and Brandon up against one of the old vintage speakers behind the bar. It's propped up. And it's hilarious. Like, we both have enormous beards, and like, there's no gray. I have this huge beard. The reason I don't have a beard anymore is mine is completely gray. I started shaving a couple of years ago. So I think definitely being a small business entrepreneur, it will definitely
it'll gray your beard.
Sure.
Yeah, it will. It's all fun, but it definitely, there's some stressful moments.
Small business will gray your beard.
Definitely. I think kids too might have something to do with it as well.
Probably a little bit more.
That's a whole other podcast though.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all are both dads too. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Girl dads too. Exclusively.
Yeah.
So what's the future?
Yeah.
Future Golden Age is, I think, where we feel like we are maybe just hitting our stride in terms of, for the past 6 years, we've been kind of like maybe convincing people to give us a try. Hey, come see what our sort of brand of hospitality, brand of wine, like come see what this is all about. And then now we're sort of have some wonderful customers, you guys, and then a lot of your listeners, I'm sure. So we're looking forward to kind of just deepening those relationships with people and just kind of allowing people, as they change in their own kind of lives and where they are, like, discover different wines at different times. And hopefully they, bring their parents in the mix or bring their new friends, or, we had a customer about maybe a week or two ago. He brought his daughter in on her 21st birthday.
Wow.
And she drank like a really cool bottle of Mousse Musette. This is like this pet nat from the Lower Valley that we've had around since day one of Golden Age. And so he was like, what should she have as her first drink? And I was like, is it her first drink? And no, I didn't say that. But it's a super sweet kind of moment to be able to just kind of be a part of that story and say, you should drink this. These guys are so cool. We love them. This has been around forever. Like, this will be a cool memory to have.
Yeah.
I would give my daughter this if this was going to be her first thing, maybe.
Maybe she'll get married at Golden Age someday.
Maybe so.
Yeah, maybe
it could happen.
Engagement photos, engagement, and marriage.
So I think the future is we're trying to just keep telling our story, keep telling winemaker stories. We're excited to see how the new edition, the Golden Age Wine Garden, evolves and kind of how it intertwines and dovetails in with the Mountain Brook location. We just built a bar, so we have an outdoor bar there now.
Oh, cool.
Everything's order at the bar, and you can sit there. If you come and just want to read a book and sit by yourself, you could come sit at the bar now. There's only a few seats, but we really wanted to make that where everyone felt welcome there.
Yeah.
And it changes the service dynamic a little bit. There's a lot of steps to cover there. I think I developed a severe case of plantar fasciitis after that first weekend that I have not recovered in 9 months. I'm wearing these fancy insoles now.
Oh,
not fancy. They're from CVS, but they're specially designed for
insoles.
Old people with plantar fasciitis. But no, we're excited about kind of connecting with a new market down there.
Sure.
And we just consulted and are running the Pizza Grace wine list.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So we're excited about that. Ryan and Jerry Martha are dear friends of ours, and my wife has worked on their last couple Big Spoons, the one in Huntsville.
Yeah.
Some different things, and they worked on kind of the remodel of the interior of Pizza Grace. And so we're excited to kind of collaborate with them on that and kind of see what that's like. We for years have toyed with the idea of kind of being a part of a restaurant and kind of have been closer some days than others and kind of got pretty close and then pulled back. And so who knows what the future holds there. That's not a teaser. We really don't know actually what holds there. But it was fun to kind of play with, Big Spoon and the Pizza Grace list. And anyways, so.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been really cool. I feel like I've gotten to watch that happen over time. I've seen y'all renovate the back room at the Mountain Brook location.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I've seen y'all open up the wine garden. So it's been really fun to watch you guys and be a part as a customer. We're big fans.
Big fans of Golden Age wine. Thank y'all
you guys.
for existing.
Yeah, we're really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy for you guys to provide a platform for local businesses and kind of share their stories. And so it seems like we talked to some cool people so far.
Yeah.
Except for Kyle, I would have.
Yeah, Kyle's kind of.
He was kind of.
Yeah.
Kyle, if you're still listening to this length of your episode during your deep work study session today, happy you're here, buddy. Yeah.
No, we've had Kyle down at the Wine Garden, him and Jake Carnley for their.
Yes, I remember that.
They did a session, a listening session. So downtown is definitely.
Wait, really? They played music?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, they played their synthesizers. Cool. It was awesome. They had all these bird sounds. I was like, wait, is that a real bird? And they were interplaying with that. And I just went to a show that Jake Carnley has a project called Earth and Herman, and he did a live show out and forgetting the name of the trail, but out in Irondale. Yeah, and I went to that. That was really fun. It's a little small invite only little thing he did. But he was incorporating the sounds of the birds and playing off that, and it was really cool. But no, they did a show down there, and so we've got some vintage hi-fi speakers that I kind of redid. That's a side passion of mine.
Yeah, Myers is probably really happy that we didn't start talking about this on the podcast because I would have talked about that the entire time.
That could be another episode. But yeah.
Did you start doing that whenever you were in studio engineering in school?
That's when I initially got kind of interested in it, but it was my mind there was let's go to the newest greatest thing in that time. Digital was kind of a new thing, and so it was about let's get the new digital Digitech Pro Tools mixing console.
Sure.
But we were learning on tape and things like that. But it was there was this digital frontier.
You wanted
and
to leave.
So I was appreciative to kind of learn that way. But with film, I started on digital cameras. I wasn't early enough to be shooting on film in terms of that learning. It was more the Canon XL1. I don't know if you know what that camera is. That'll date me. But
Canon XL1.
Yeah, I remember my first one was a TS5, my Canon TS5. I got that in high school. I went to Morris Avenue and all the cool little spots. It's nice to have you in Birmingham, John City Diner, all those places. Yeah. Went to the top of the McQueen Science Center parking deck. Took some sick photos of my skinny jeans, my drop tees in 2013. But yeah, guys, it's really, really cool to see how far y'all have come along. I mean, I think just in a way, I can like kind of feel a parallel to because like Myers and I have been doing this for, I don't know, year and a half now. And hey, dreams come true whenever you stay consistent. They do.
Just do the
Keep
thing.
working.
Yeah, Birmingham. Yeah, one of the main reasons that we did this is because everybody has ideas all the time, and nobody actually does anything.
Yeah.
So just do it. Just freaking do it. So
take some risk.
Take some risk. Yeah. Trip and fall.
What if all your
bandage
dreams
the wound
come true?
What if?
Could happen.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for being on, guys.
Yeah,
I absolutely enjoyed every second of it.
Likewise.
1 hour and 44 minutes and 57 seconds.
We did it.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with
somebody.
You gotta wait and see. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, that was fun, guys.
All right. I'm going to find your restroom. Thank y'all for having us.